Hi, do you love jelly beans? Oh, I'm not talking about the lollies or the candies. I'm talking about succulents. Welcome to Jelly Beans Succulent Summer Edition. As we are filming it today, it's summertime here in our place. That's why I call it summer edition, because I'll be making a separate video for the winter edition for these jelly beans. I will explain it later why. And on this table, I got a 4 types of jelly beans. So one of the most common and popular jelly beans, it's called the sedum rubrithinctum. That one. And it's also known as the red jelly beans, or the pork and beans, or the Christmas cheers. And probably it's called the red jelly beans because, as you can see in the colors, it's showing red in there. So this one is a red jelly beans too. And you are wondering why it's not red. And probably because it's summer today, that's why I got a summer edition for these jelly beans. And we got the one of the famous as well. They call it the sedum rubrithinctum aurora, the pink jelly beans, or the pink pork and beans. And if you notice, both of these jelly beans look the same. They got the same sizes. They got a like the oblong shape, and that's really chubby. And the same thing with these pink jelly beans. So basically they are the same, because the pink jelly beans is a variegated form of these red jelly beans. And that was proven because I have made some experimentation before and it shows how it revert back to a red jelly beans. The pink jelly beans become a red jelly beans. The third jelly beans that I'll be discussing later would be the blue jelly beans, or they call it the sedum pachypilum. And as you can see, this one looks bluish, but on winter time it shows a different color. Right now it's summer, so the blue jelly beans have a almost the same characteristic with these red jelly beans, as you get the chubby leaves, but these leaves are much more elongated compared to the red jelly beans. And sometimes they show like colors of like a pink and red tips, like this one, or it could be like that one. And either it could show a blue or a yellowish colors. So it depends on the season and the sun exposure too. So they change colors. But normally they are like more of a bluish type. That's why they are called the blue jelly beans. And the last jelly beans that I'll be discussing would be the sedum obesum lucidum. And they are called the big jelly beans, because this jelly beans is much more bigger than the normal jelly beans. See, that one is just elongated, but that one is a much bigger beans compared to that one. This is a little bit baby. I have a much more matured ones. So this one, if you can notice, the leaves is much bigger compared to the normal jelly beans. As you can see, that's why it's called the big jelly beans. For the watering, this is the same as a normal succulent. Just like you water it when it's dry, and you just keep it soak, and then just leave it for around probably 7 to 10 days, depends on what season you are in, and probably in the winter time it's much more lesser. But these jelly beans can tolerate as much water or can tolerate as much as less water. That's why this is the best succulents for beginners. And I remember before I fell in love with the succulents, the first plant that I ever possessed was the red jelly beans. For the climate, these succulents are really fantastic. So they can thrive during the summer season, and they can even more growing on the winter season. So because these are a winter crop, so they love the winter so much that it grows like crazy. It went berserk for this type of succulents. You just keep growing, getting bigger and multiplying on the winter season. But even in summer season, they still grow and you can still propagate this type of plants. And that's wonderful. And for the sun exposure, these plants can tolerate even the low light and even the harshest sun. So you can either put it in a partial shade or you can put it under the sun for the whole day. But that does mean to say that the different exposure of sunlight creates a different, brings out the different colors in them. So for example, these red jelly beans has been placed in a really low light in a shaded part. That's why it's just like green. And this blue jelly beans has been exposed to the sun for the whole morning until the afternoon, and that's why it tried to show its colors, and it does survive. It can tolerate the extreme heat of the sun even during the summer, although I've noticed that it got some burnt leaves in there on the tip, but there's only a few. That means to say they are alright. They can survive the sun. So that's the beauty of these succulents, these jelly beans. They are so wonderful, and you can just leave them and they can thrive. If they can survive the harsh heat during the peak of the summer, where I live is like around, they can hit sometimes around 40 degrees, and it doesn't kill the plant. And even in my place during the winter time, we hit around -5, and these plants has been outside exposed to the weather, and they are right. Even to the frost, they can survive the frost as long as it won't go below -6 degrees Celsius. So they are right. So in my place, we are so perfect for the jelly beans that we can go around -5 degrees Celsius. So they all thrive and they won't die at all. So they are wonderful for me for this type of succulents. For the soil type, they are not so picky. So you can grow them in the normal succulent mix, or you can grow them in a sandy mix, or you can grow them in a normal garden soil. See that one? This is like a normal garden soil, and they can thrive. See this one, some of these are normal garden soil, some get a succulent mix. So it doesn't matter what type of soil they are into, they can thrive and they can survive. But as long as the water won't sit on the pot, and they are alright. And even on the ground, they love it. So they love to be put on the ground too. So the best way to propagate this type of succulents, these jelly beans, I got two main types of propagation. First is the leaf propagation. All you need to do is you just pluck a leaf. Just make sure it's cleaned. Especially for these red jelly beans, they're easily to be pulled. And make sure you choose a good chubby leaves, not the wrinkled one or the old leaf. And you just leave them dry, and they'll just start putting on roots. And I'll show you some. I got a few in here. that I've already dried. And see that one? They're just showing its roots, putting out its roots, and they got a leaf already. So you can just leave it in the tray and it will just sprouting its roots, or you can just put it back in here, doesn't matter, they'll just grow in there. And it doesn't matter what season they are into, even it's in summer, it will just keep growing. So it's a fast grower during winter season, but even in summertime. So see that one, it's summer right now, but still it's showing progress, so it's growing. And the other way to propagate this one is through cuttings. So how to cut? Basically, if you find a stem, all you need to do is just either break it and you have it already. And that's it. As simple as that. Either you can put it straight to the pot or to the ground, even without having to callus its wound, they'll be alright. But you know, the best practice for succulents is to just let it dry probably a day or two, especially for these jelly beans, and they'll thrive. Or you can just put it on the pot straight away. Even if you don't bury it underneath, they will start growing its roots on the side, just like this one. So they'll just find a way to go down on the soil and they'll start growing. So this is the best succulent to ever propagate, because it's not quite really that sensitive, and it will just give you more and more succulents. Or if you don't like plucking it, you can get a scissor, and all you need to do is just trim them off. It's right in there. So that's it. And if you've noticed, the beauty about this one, it branches out, so like creating a pops. So that one can be used to propagate as well. If you cut it off, you can use that one. See that one? It's like branches in there. So either you can cut it off, it's up to you. If they don't look good anymore, you can cut it off. And if you want to really like want to propagate this as fast as you can pluck some of the leaves, or that one has been a cutting already, but you can cut it off in the middle too. You can split that. So that's the top. You can plant it, or you can remove some of the leaves and propagate for that one. Or see, that one is a half, that's the half of the cutting already, and that one can still be propagated. So they are not really juicy or not really sensitive, especially for propagation. If you look at this one, this is a blue jelly beans. This is a cutting of a cutting. So still it survived, and now it's growing its babies. So look at the beauty. And I think this has just been planted a few weeks ago, and now it's growing alright. Even for these big jelly beans in here, it's starting to get roots already, I think. So I'll try to pull out this one. Yep. So get roots already. It just got elongated because this was just placed in a less sun. That's a normal rule for the succulents. So when you put it in a much lesser sun, they try to find the sunlight, and once they do that, they try to stretch. So I get a few cuttings over here for the pink jelly beans. And there's another name for these jelly beans. They call it the stone crab. Why is it a stone crab? There's a gardener's joke that only stone can live longer, and you don't need much care. So they are like stones actually. So they can thrive just leaving them and they can live longer. So that's the beauty about these succulents. What I love about this succulent is that they are not only easy to propagate, and they are not only really good looking, and if they're showing colors as well in different seasons, but you can make actually first as a part of a design. So you can make a design like this. You can put it on a design for succulent arrangements. I'll show you some of my succulent arrangements with a mix of jelly beans. See, if you notice on my succulent arrangements, most of it got a jelly beans. So it could be a red, it could be a pink, or it could be a blue jelly beans on there. So they added beauty and contrast to the arrangement. Not only that, they are also good for fillers too. So if you got a big arrangement like this, and just like you're missing some of a plant, some plants to put in, you can put a lot of jelly beans, or you can just put one or two, and it will just fill the whole space, just like this one. So I've been using jelly beans just to cover some of the spaces like this one, and see that one, it will just thrive later and it will fill the whole big pot with jelly beans. So it's like a compact. The other application for these jelly beans is a ground cover. So it will fill up most of the open space on the ground if you like not to look bare that much. So you can put a jelly bean in there. See that one? So they'll just cover your whole area with jelly beans. I remember before, like a few months ago, this whole area in there is filled with jelly beans. So we take some and put it in the pot because we want it to be on the pot for arrangements too. And it just only started with a single head, just like that. I just put one heads on each area, and now look at from the one head, just get a lot of jelly beans in there. And our next project will be filling it up with more pink jelly beans because we got a lot of red jelly beans already. So the next goal is starting to propagate more on the pink jelly beans. So I think this will be the jelly beans summer edition episode, and we'll be showing you more of the winter edition for the jelly beans next time. Bye!